Is it a card? Is it a gift? It's both. Friends, I can't wait to teach you how to create this fantastic way to give those small gifts this holiday season. Hello, everyone. I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Thank you so much for stopping by today. It is time for another Tuesday tip video. Now, you may have seen this project before. I have simplified it using a die. It's going to make it so easy to do. And bonus, this is actually going to make 2 cards. Yeah, I'm really excited to share these with you. So let's go get started. What I love about these cards is that they're mantle worthy. You see, they stand like this. So this is what the people are going to see. The gift box just slides right out. And as I said at the beginning, it can be a little bit complicated, but we're going to simplify it with dies today. I'm going to teach you both of these cards. And guess what? They're actually kind of a one-sheet wonder. Let me show you what I mean. To create both cards, you just need 2 different colors of cardstock, 8.5 by 11. I'm going to be using Real Red and Shaded Spruce. And as always, I've got a free download that goes along with today's video. So you'll have all your measurements, supplies, everything you need. But you know what really makes this one special? It comes with a diagram because I like to save you money when it comes to cutting your cardstock. So I've got a diagram that's going to walk you through everything. Stick around. I'll tell you how you can get that download for free. But the one trick I want to teach you is that I said we were going to do this with a die to make it easy. We're going to be using the radiating stitched dies. Now, these are one of Stampin' Up's online exclusives, so you're not going to find these in the catalog, but I discovered that this die was absolutely perfect for this project. We're going to use the medium-sized die. This one is going to measure about 2 5/8 by 4. And that is what's going to create our kind of opening there for our box to fit into. So let's get things started, and we're going to start working with our cardstock. Now remember, this is going to make 2, but if you only wanted to use 1, you would need a 5.5 by 8.5 of Real Red and a 5.5 by 8.5 of Shaded Spruce. I'm going to go ahead and cut these pieces down with the 11 inches up at the top. I'm going to cut them 8.5 by 5.5. Now we can work with these 2 for card 1, these 2 with card 2. So I'm going to go ahead and set these off to the side because we're going to work with card number 1. So I'm going to create this one. The base of my card is going to be in Real Red. I'm going to put the 8.5 up here at the top. And we're going to score that. Let me make sure my cutting blade's out of the way. We want to score that at 5.5 inches. And you could, 4.25 inches, forgive me. And you can see I've got that right there in your diagram. By the way, all the instructions are written up here at the top as well. That is my card base. Now we're going to use that Shaded Spruce and we're going to create the box, and then I'll explain what this piece is here. So we have a 5.5 by 8.5. Let's cut it down 5.5 by 5.5. All right, so that's going to be for my box. This piece that is left over, this is going to create a couple different things. You can either use it as decoration here on the front and the back. This also gives some stability to your card. All right, so you can do that, but I'm going to go ahead and bring in this other piece because I want you to see I created a tent on my second one, and that really helped my card from trying to pop open. All right, so when that box is in it, I didn't want it to so this the other thing that you can do is create a tent bottom to your card. But for my first card, we're going to create it just as is, and so we're going to cut this piece in half at 1.5 inches. All right, 1.5 inches by 5. And we're going to use that for decor. Now let's talk about that opening. I told you at the beginning, we're going to be using the radiating stitch die to create this die cut. But if you don't have that, you can still create this card. I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can do that. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to give our score line a good crease. So the first way I want to teach you is using the die because we love to make things easy. So I'm going to line up this die, and I got to tell you a little trick. I cut a little scrap, just any little scrap from my die, and I went and I folded it in half so that I could find the center line. Here's my trick. I came in with a little Sharpie and just put a little tick mark so that I could easily see what the center is. So you can see now I can line up my die. There's my score line. I want to give myself at least 3/4 of an inch. By the way, this can go anywhere on your card that you would like it to go. There's no right or wrong. If you want it right in the center, you can do that. I kind of liked mine off to the side, but again, no right or wrong. Give yourself at least 3/4 of an inch on the sides there. We're going to run this through our die cutting machine. A quick lesson in die cutting. We're going to take base plate 1, thin die adapter 2, cutting plate 3. Now we can put our cardstock and our die. Again, we'll line that up, top it with another cutting plate 3, and we can run this through our machine. And you're going to have something like that, all right? So that's how to do it with the die. Now let me teach you how to create it if you don't have the die. You could cut yourself a scrap piece of paper that is 2 5/8 by 4 inches. Fold it in half at 2 inches. You can line that up, line up that score line with the score line in your paper. Again, give yourself that 3/4 of an inch, and you can make some little tick marks. And then you can bring in your paper cutter and you can cut in between those tick marks. Now, if that's not your favorite way, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to cut without having to make that template. We're going to take that real red cardstock. I've got the 5 1/2 inches up at the top, and I'm going to line it up here at 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to bring my arm over, and can you see that there is a little tick mark right here on my cutting blade? I want to line that up at 2 1/4 inches, all right, 2 1/4. We're going to hold on to this arm because we don't want our cardstock to shift, and I'm going to cut down to 6 1/4 inch, just like that. Now we're going to slide our cardstock down to 3 3/8. And let's cut once again, 6 1/4 up to 2 1/4. And you can see the opening there. Now we'll rotate around. We'll line that up at 6 1/4. And we can just cut in between those lines. You can see how I did that right there. Rotate around, 6 1/4 once again, and cut. So again, even if you don't have the die, you can still create the project, but you must admit this went awfully fast just to place the die in and cut it. But again, I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging. If you didn't have the dies, you can still make the project. All right, card base is done. Now let's move on and create our box. And bringing our diagram back in, we're going to be using this here. So I had a piece of 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I cut it down 5 1/2 by 5 1/2, as you can see here. We're going to do some scoring at 1 1/2 inches on all 4 sides. Let's make sure our cutting blade is out of the way, and we will score this at 1 1/2 inches on all 4 sides to create our box. One other thing I want to make a comment on, if you've seen this project in the past, this box is quite a bit bigger than maybe the times that you've seen this made. So this is going to be great if you have something a little bit bigger that you need to go into the box. You can see we have squares in each corner, right? I would like you to cut right along the score line of those squares. So there's that side. I'm going to rotate it around, cut the opposite side. Now you can see we've got our 4 little squares. The next bit of cutting that you're going to do, this is the only thing you should be cutting on, is on these squares. And I'm going to do what I call mitering. We're going to go from the inside to that outside corner. Can you see how it just cut out like a little, just a little wedge? And that's going to allow our box to go together really nicely. Inside to the outside, inside to the outside. You're just going right to that score line. Let's repeat that on our other two. I'm going to bring in my bone folder. Let's give all of our score lines a good crease. I am a huge fan of using a bone folder when I create boxes because we want those nice sharp edges on our box. With either tear and tape and multi-purpose glue, we're going to put these tabs inside our box. So I'm just going to put my glue right here on the outside edges. By the way, you want to make sure you're really close to that score line because we want our box to not have any little gaps in it. So and you notice, by the way, I'm going to do all of my glue at one time. I keep the tip of my glue right down on the paper. This is a really strong adhesive, but we don't want glue oozing out, right? Okay, I'm going to start with my first one, and I'm just going to bring these two corners in and adhere that down, and we're just going to work our way around. I don't know about you, I still get excited whenever I put together a box. There's just something about taking a flat piece of paper and being able to turn it into a box. It just thrills me every time. And with that, we have the box for our card. I'm going to set this off to the side. And now we're going to create a lid for our box. One important thing you need to know is if I did these the exact same size, lid and box would not want to go together because if I score it at exactly that same size, not going to work. So I've got a trick to share with you. It wouldn't be a Tuesday tip video without tips, right? All right, I'm going to take my cutting blade. Let's get that out of the way. I have a piece of 4.5 by 4.5 white cardstock. I'm going to line it up here at 1 inch, and here's the trick. We need to score it a hair less than 1 inch. So I've got it at 1 inch, and you see if I move it down, see where that next line is? We want to go in between those two. I don't even know what kind of measurement that is. I like to just say a hair less than 1 inch. So I'll score at a hair less than 1. Let's do that again. We're going to do this on all 4 sides. So again, just in between those 2 lines, this is going to make box and lid very, very happy. The cutting that we did on our box, it's going to be the exact same thing on our lid. So I've cut up to those score lines to create those 4 little tabs. And just like before, we're going to miter from the inside to the outside on all of those squares. Again, just as we did before, we're going to crease our lines here, all our scored lines, with our bone folder. But you know what? I wanted to give this a little something. So you notice I have some polka dots here on my box. Let me show you how you can do that. I'm going to bring in a die. This is the Basics 3D dies. By the way, it comes with 3 of them. I'm going to use polka dots because I absolutely love polka dots. We're going to place that inside our folder just like that. We're going to run that through our machine. Let me show you how to do that. We're going to take base plate 1. We're going to take our embossing folder with our cardstock inside and then embossing plate number 4. Let's run that through our machine. And now you can see we've got gorgeous polka dots. I love it. So to adhere this together, I'm going to bring my multi-purpose glue back in, but you know what? This is a 3D embossing folder. So I'm going to come along those tabs and I'm just going to flatten them. Just on the tabs, guys, just on these tabs. I just don't want that interfering when I go to glue this together. And so that's just another helpful tip for you. I will put my glue here on the tabs just like we did before. Now, when I go to put my lid on my box, it's tight, but it's not kind of bunching up my box. And that's really important. We like those boxes to slide open easily, no bunching. All right, our box is done. Now it's time to work on our card. Remember those 2 pieces of our shaded spruce? I'm going to place those inside my polka dot embossing folder, and we're going to run those through the exact same way. I'm going to adhere these onto my card, and I want you to notice I left just a little bit of the red showing at the bottom. And the reason I'm doing it that way is I kind of need some strength down at the bottom of this card. When we put that box in there, you know, we don't want it to do that, right? So this is going to add just a little bit of extra strength here at the base of our card. Time to do some stamping and decorating. Sending Cheer is such a fun little stamp set, and this little gingerbread guy made my day. I have a piece of basic white 1 inch by 5.5. And in our real red, I'm going to stamp, and you notice I'm stamping it at an angle, no peeking. Now I'm going to come in with these little stars and just kind of fill in a little bit, however you want, whatever kind of makes you happy. Now this little piece, this is a 1 7/8 by 2.5 inches. And on this one, we're going to say to from, and now I'm going to come in with my pecan pie and let's stamp our little gingerbread man. This is I believe it's a 2.5 by 2.25, but just enough. Little scrap will work as well. You notice those little hearts. Well, we don't even have to color those in. Stampin' Up! Has given us a stamp, so we'll ink those up in real red. Boom, we have our hearts. For our gingerbread man face, I'm going to come in with my Memento Black because I want to make sure I can see that. All right, that's done. Let's bring in our dies. So we're of course going to use our gingerbread man to die cut, but look, we have a little present, we have a little stocking. So you've got a lot of options of how you want to create this. I'm going to go ahead and die cut my gingerbread man. And friends, this is done the exact same way you saw me do earlier. Now this die, he actually has a little place where he can hang. I don't want him to hang. So you can see I've got just this little scrap right here. Guys, we just simply trim that away. Now remember how I said this was a 2-for-1 card? Well, when we cut this section out of our shaded spruce, we would have gotten another one of those radiating stitch dies. So whether you cut it out yourself or you used your die, either way, we're going to take that leftover piece and that's going to create our cute little tag. I'm going to adhere our to from inside. I'm going to add Stampin' Dimensionals here to my gingerbread man. We can add him to the tag. We'll add our tag there to the side. By the way, our little no peeking, let's add that with some Stampin' Dimensionals as well. To tie up my boxes, I decided to go with the real red and the burlap ribbon. This is a combo pack. So for this card, I'm going to use 20 inches of my real red ribbon. I have tied that in a bow, and now you can see my little gift box fits perfect right inside my card. Now, if you wanted to write a message in this card, well, it's a little dark. You could always come in with a piece of basic white, and that way you have a place to write your message. Remember, that's even going to give your card a little more strength. But friends, that's how you create the gift box in a card featuring the radiating stitch dies. I've got one more card I want to feature today. Don't forget to grab that free download that I have for you that has the diagrams in it. You'll find that at simplysimplestamping.com, or you can look down in the YouTube description. There's a direct link to today's post. When you go there, you'll look for a button that says grab your free download. Guys, you're going to love having that with that diagram. So when you're ready to recreate these cards, you've got everything right there in front of you. My gift to you, just to say thank you for joining me. But with that, I'm ready to share with you card number 2. So for my second card, I just changed things up. So maybe you want something a little more elegant. This card features the horse and sleigh die set. You can see my box, instead of that white cardstock, I decided to use some designer series paper. This is the Joy of Christmas designer series paper. But this is what I wanted to teach you, this right here. This is what I talked about at the beginning, the little tent version. So this is going to help your card stand up. Maybe you've got something a little bit heavier in this box and you might need that. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to show that to you featuring our first card. Because do you remember when we cut our 5.5 by 5.5 for our box and we had this left over? This is what created the tent, and it is a 3 by 5.5. And what we want to do to this, we want to score it at every 3/4 of an inch. So we'll score it at 3/4, 1.5 inches, and 2.25 inches. That's going to create that really great tent. We're going to fold this in a little accordion. When you crease this with your bone folder, you're going to want the mountain in the front, in the center, all right? I'll go ahead and use one of my other cards as an example, but we're going to place adhesive down one side. We want the score line down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to give that a fold. You can see I can line that up right there at the bottom. Now I can add a strip of adhesive. By the way, your multi-purpose glue would work here as well. Fold that over, and that will give us a tent. Kind of helps secure things if you've got something a little bit heavier in the box. That's what you can do with that leftover piece. And that's what I did here on this card with the one let me try that again. That would be the horse and sleigh. Your card, your box, and your lid are all going to be done in the exact same way, all right? No changes there at all. I'll very quickly teach you what I did right here. As I said, we're going to use the horse and sleigh bundle for this one. Again, just a little more elegant. I have a piece of 2.25 by 8.5 basic white. I'm going to bring in my Memento black ink pad and our horse and sleigh. We're going to stamp that here on the left side. This extra we're going to use to give ourselves some die-cut snow. I decided to do my coloring with my Stampin' Blends. You could also do this with your Stampin' Write markers. I've got some shaded spruce, real red, smoky slate, and pecan pie. Once that's colored, we can come in with our die, and we've got two little pieces of snow. So we're going to die cut these. You guys have seen me die cut. I'm going to run all those through my machine so we can add some decor to the front of our card. I just added my little snow pieces down here at the bottom, Stampin' Dimensionals, to add my horse and sleigh. Here I just added a little 1 inch by 3.5 inches. I used my Banners Pick-a-Punch just to give it a little extra something there. Stamped Season of Cheer. Again, there is my gift box. I added my tent down here at the bottom. Need a place to write a message? I've just added that here to the back. 2 inches by 5.25. So I've got a little place that I can add a message there. I used the burlap ribbon on this one, so that just kind of changed it up. And there you have it, my friends. Gift boxes in a card, the easy method. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I would love a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I share twice a week here with you. More ideas just like this waiting for you.